Good morning, folks. We're gonna make this one a quick one. There is a pack that has been data mined on the event server. It is verified. It does have a release date. I believe it was actually data mined at the end of May, but nobody was really talking about it until yesterday. That makes sense since it does come out on the 6th, which is tomorrow, or today if I decide to release this tomorrow, which is a confusing sentence to say. That is the Zeta Mastery Pack. We will talk about it, break it down, and find out if it is worth your time. So, like I said before, this is not in-game yet, which means we really don't need the game up at all. So we're going to actually break this down, and I would normally go to the actual Discord server, but my sources are set up in a weird way, and you won't be able to see things correctly. So we're actually going to go the Substack valuation that I've already done to see that picture. You can see the Zetas, 20 to 100, 30 to 100 Omegas, and 90 to 100 purple ability materials. What's notable about this pack is that it is 4 crystals, so 4,999 crystals. We'll see that it's broken up in cards of 90, 9, and 1%, with the ability materials being a little different, but nobody really cares to worry about those if you are not in the very, very, very early game. So what does this pack look like? Because I have seen already some noise, people saying it's not worth it, people saying it's too expensive. I actually have a little bit of a different valuation here, and I do think that there are two camps of players that might be considering this, and we will talk about that in just a second. Let's just bring up, you know what, actually, let's not do this on here. Let's go over to my actual valuation sheet here, and we'll see how we've broken this down. Our normal store value for Zetas, we've broken that down based on the daily deal, right? So Zeta's down here. This is the best daily deal you can find, 1,600 crystals for 7 Zetas. It brings it down to 228 crystals per. And some random side crap, which would actually technically bring the value of the Zeta up, but nobody buys those packs for the other things, so we value it specifically for the Zeta. So going back to that pack, we see here our 90%, our 9%, and our 10%. What is notable here is that with packs like this where we have different cards, each of those cards, unless stated otherwise, and it does not state otherwise in this one, has their own chance to roll, right? So what that means is if you get the lowest roll on Zetas, it does not necessarily mean that you are going to get the lowest roll on Omegas or vice versa. But if we look at this pack at its absolute lowest valuation, we're seeing roughly a 51% increase in value and a value of 7,560 crystals. At its absolute highest value, we're seeing a 556% increase in value, and quite a few Zetas to make just about anybody happy. But, and this is where all this top secret math on the side comes in. Not that it's top secret, but it doesn't look pretty. It's not meant to look pretty, so I've hidden it. When we talk about the expected value, and for those who don't know, expected value basically, if we were to break it down into easy terms, if I were to buy this pack an infinite number of times, this is the value we could expect to see, right? So if I were to buy this pack an infinite number of times, notably it can only be purchased twice, I can expect to see 22.6 Zetas per pack and 33.4 Omegas per pack. And when we look at the downside of 20 and the upside of 100, that is a really, really close swing that tells me just how low the chances are for me to hit big on this one. So I'm always, especially if I'm buying this for myself, going to think about it as if I'm going to hit the absolute lowest markers, right? Um, Now, when I talk about there being two camps of players that might be interested in this pack, I'm talking about players like myself. So we're endgame players that have been playing for 8, 9, 10 years at this point. We've seen every life cycle this game has had. We maybe are lower on Zetas, but we really don't have a backlog of Zetas that we need to apply. We're going to value this a little bit lower because we also have an infinite number of Omegas. I have not had to think about Omegas in like 5 years, and I think I have about 1,400 of them sitting on my account right now. So for me, this valuation is a literal zero. But with that said, our valuation on Zeta is 4,560 out of that 228, which means that we've come fairly close to the valuation of this 228 just on the pack alone. If we were to do some quick math here, we were to say 4,999 divided by 20, we're looking at a valuation of 249 crystals per Zeta, and that's actually not terrible. It doesn't mean that I'm going to buy it, but it's not as bad as it looks. Now, if I were to value this at the expected value, and once again, this is like if I were buying this pack an infinite number of times, and hey, if this comes back every month, you can kind of start to look at that expected value. It's actually valuing this at 221 crystals per Zeta, which is cheaper than buying them from the daily deal. So not a super bad deal. However, because I don't actually need these Omegas at all, I don't see this as a pack that I'm going to buy unless I'm on some kind of crazy quest to get every single Zeta in the game. I am on that crazy quest to get every single Zeta on the game, but not at the cost of this. Or, I don't know, I'm a gambler and have a crazy, crazy, crazy amount of crystals. The other camp of players are the players that have been here for like 3, 4 years, maybe even less, who have bought a ton of Lightspeed bundles. So these are players that are super Zeta limited, but also super Omega limited. They are in a crunch that is hitting both of these materials fairly equally, maybe one more than the other, but they need both things, and they need both things in droves, right? Not in a, oh, hey, don't worry, Omegas, we'll be fine in 6 months kind of way, because that's not true. It's going to take years to get out of that hole, if they ever even do get out of that hole because of the increased character cadence we've been seeing. Players that are in that specific situation, players who are heavy Lightspeed bundle addicts, players who have a lesser account age, you're going to see value from both of these materials, which is going to give you about a 50% increase, right? And I see this is a little small on screen, so we'll zoom this in a little bit. This is going to give you a pretty decent increase on your materials at a hefty value, right? So if you're in that camp, I can definitely see purchasing this pack once or twice, especially if you're somebody that has no problem using your wallet and ripping out your credit card, right? I make no judgments. I don't care what you do. It's your money. Use it when you need it. Now, it would be awful nice to hit this 1%. And if any of you do hit a 1% on one, the other, or both of them, I'd love to hear about it. But just think about it rationally and make sure that you are spending on this pack because it makes sense to you, not just because you see pretty Zetas and you want them. I hope that helps. I hope if you buy it, you hit that 1%. With that said, peace out and have a great day.